approximately 10 hours later.
Well, seems like the game gods are punishing me today. I was walking back to the bar after restocking, and a random warthog kun came out of nowhere and nailed me. So I am either in a horrible sci-fi isekai, in a coma, or I have committed the cardinal sin of not continuing the Halo retrospective after Halo 4, and now I am being punished for my hubris. So, let's talk about Halo 5? So, Halo 5 is a bit of a contentious topic within the Halo community, as it is constantly pointed to by a lot of both well-meaning and toxic fans as being the death of Halo. And it's not hard to see where they are coming from. With split-screen co-op removed, several online playlists and modes removed, the marketing coming off as dishonest, being a part of the loot box problem during the late 2010s, a plot twist that comes out of nowhere, and a team of Spartans that felt like they also came out of nowhere, taking the spotlight. But let's take this one step at a time, shall we? Okay, so addressing one of the massive elephants in the room, why did they remove split screen from Halo 5? Well, with the new engine they were running, they wanted to make sure the game ran at a smooth 60 frames a second, giving the player as little input lag as possible when playing, and although it was a noble idea, it kinda shot them in the foot when they focused the campaign around cooperation and playing different characters. The game would play smooth as hell though, if it wasn't on my dinosaur of an Xbox One. Now, what about the other controversies? Well, we'll talk about the story when we get there, but Halo 5 also had the problem of loot boxes. For those that don't know, back in the day, if you wanted to unlock armor in Halo, you had to, well, earn it. By playing the game, you slowly unlocked armor pieces through online matches, completing achievements, or participating in special matchmaking event days. However, in Halo 5, Microsoft mandated that the game have the infamous loot box system. The only way to unlock armor, skins, special animations, and items was to basically gamble for them, which was an unpopular practice, and I'm glad it died. Not like it was replaced with something better, but anyway. Okay, let's talk about the game's marketing. Leading up to Halo 5's release, there was a comic series released called Halo Escalation, which was supposed to help bridge the gap between Halo 4 and 5, and a series called Hunt the Truth, which was a 2-season audio drama and marketing campaign that built upon the idea of the Chief going rogue, and revealed several key plot points about these giant Forerunner machines that were waking up called Guardians, with a new Spartan fire team hunting Chief down, led by the protagonist of Halo Nightfall, Jameson Locke. Now, when you play Halo 5's campaign, it can look like the marketing lied to us. However, the marketing side of things and the writing side of things don't talk to each other in depth a lot of the time. Marketing gets the gist of things going on, then goes off to promote the product. They don't catch story changes until the next meeting, sometimes weeks or even months later. Microsoft also wanted every last piece of Halo's expanded universe to be connected, so things got lost in the shuffle of promotional material. Hence, why we have these really cool trailers setting up mysteries, only to get the plot that didn't do that, or at least to the extent we thought it would. On a more positive note, Halo 5 began production immediately after Halo 4, and the team took the criticism for both the multiplayer and gameplay to heart. They did massive overhauls to Halo's sandbox for enemy design, weapon function, movement, and gameplay. They removed the unpopular weapon loadout and equipment systems from Halo 4, wanting players to have a more level playing field, along with the godsend of difficulty adjustment, where the higher difficulties only increased enemy damage, instead of their health and damage resistance as well, meaning that enemy health and shield strengths are now consistent, no matter the difficulty level. Which, if you played Halo 4 on Legendary, you understand my pain of unloading 3 magazines of ammo into a night and not doing anything. Okay, but let's stop beating around the bush. Let's talk about Halo 5. Is it the worst Halo in the series? Did it kill Halo? Or were we too quick to judge it for being different? Well, join me in this practice of insanity, and maybe if we do a good enough job, I can go home and sleep. So, to know what the hell happened between Halo 4 and 5, we need some context. After Cortana went kablooey at the end of Halo 4, Chief went off to reunite with his fellow Spartan 2s. So we follow the exploits of Infinity through the Halo 4 continuation stories, Spartan Ops, and Halo Escalation. Within these stories, we see the creator of the Spartan 2 project, Dr. Halsey, managing to escape custody and reluctantly joining the Covenant to help its leader Julim Dama find a secret left by the Librarian. The story kills off a few characters from Spartan Ops, and the secret wasn't really worth anything and just sets us up for Halo 5. Also, Halsey lost an arm.
Please clap.
Which leads us to the first mission of Halo 5. A Spartan fire team is briefed on their new mission to assassinate Julim Dama and recover Halsey, as she has information on why several human colonies have been going missing, which was also the main plot point of Hunt the Truth, where the main character Pharaoh died investigating those very same things. The Spartans being sent in are Team Osiris, with squad mates being Vale, Tanaka, and Buck, led by Jameson Locke. Now, if you haven't read or watched the expanded content, you'll have zero clue who these three are, and you're probably confused as to why Buck from ODST is here. Well, in the cases of Locke, Vale, and Tanaka, Locke was from the web series Halo Nightfall, but also appeared in the Halo 2 Anniversary Terminals. He was an Oni assassin who joined the Spartan 4 program after the events of Nightfall. Vale was from the book Hunters in the Dark, and was invited to join the Spartan 4 program after that book. Tanaka was a UNSC engineer and frontier colonist who survived a Covenant glassing and gives a non-UNSC human perspective of the galaxy in Halo Escalation. Then there's Buck. Now, it was revealed in interviews that Buck was not the character the team originally wanted. That honor went to Gabriel Thorne, who was one of the focus characters in Halo 4's Spartan Ops campaign. However, Thorne's VA wasn't available due to scheduling conflicts, and the team didn't want to replace him just in case they wanted to use the character again once the VA became available. However, Nathan Fillion, Buck's VA, was available, so they went with him instead. This will help explain some story stuff I talk about later. However, if you want to know the story of how Buck became a Spartan 4 and what happened to his squad Alpha 9, read the book New Blood. The opening scene of Halo 5 is a technical showcase of the new visuals, and showed off the upgraded Spartan 4 armor. Seeing Osiris Halo drop into a war zone, using new thrusters to give them speed boosts and new attack abilities, we start out in the first mission, Osiris. The single-player campaign has you take control of Locke, which is how I played for this playthrough. Yep, if you were playing with friends, you got to select which character you played as. Each character has their own unique starting weapons and slight stat differences to give them a unique feel in the gameplay. The team members in Osiris get faster thruster recharge times and slower descents. But Locke starts with an extra grenade, Vale is naturally faster than her teammates, Buck has increased melee damage, and Tanaka can use her motion tracker even when aiming down sights. These aren't massive differences, but they are enough to give you some preferred Spartans if you play with friends. The first mission doesn't pull any punches, as it is the three-way battle between the Covenant, Promethean forces, and Osiris. It also introduces a new enemy type for the Prometheans, the Promethean Soldier, and shows how the Prometheans have been changed, both in their gameplay mechanics and their guns. A lot of the weapons in Halo 5 got updates, so let's cover those major changes quickly, because holy hell, these were great changes! First off, weapons. Every gun in the game now has a usable zoom function. In previous Halo games, if you tried to scope in on guns like the assault rifle or needler, you'd get a zoomed in look, but it immediately zoomed out if you fired it. Each gun that didn't used to have a scope now basically has iron sights, meaning that you can zoom in and get a bit more accuracy for your weapons. As well, the following guns are in the Halo 5 sandbox, with the SMG making its full return here for the campaign. Now, let's talk about the Prometheans. Back in Halo 4, the Prometheans were controversial. They only had 4 enemy types, and the Knights, along with the Watchers, were the most annoying combination from their roster. Knights were damage sponges that could teleport or instantly kill you on a difficulty higher than easy. Watchers popped up to spawn in more enemies, grab grenades and throw them back at you, shield friendlies, and even revive Knights. I am happy to say that these units have been reworked to be much better. Still challenging, but nothing frustrating to the point of pulling your hair out. Watchers no longer revive dead Prometheans. Instead, they shield the closest Promethean under fire and can only repair their fellow Prometheans. It is kept to a floating support unit, not the spine of the Promethean forces, which is definitely a good balancing improvement. Then there are the Knights. Knights have lost shields and teleporting, and have become the Promethean equivalent of hunters. Their backs are now made of breakable armor segments, and breaking the armor exposes their core. Much better and more interesting to handle than their Halo 4 counterparts. To compensate for the changes, they made Knights much more aggressive, and gave them the ability to block grenades if you throw them towards the front of the Knight, so be aware of that. Then we have the new Promethean Soldier. These guys act like the Jackals or Marines of the Promethean forces. The Knight's teleporting ability went to them, which makes for a much more interesting enemy type, because the soldiers are always trying to position themselves to outflank you. If they are the heavier variant, they'll try to distract you while their partners fall back or get into position. This is a much needed enemy variant to flesh out the Promethean forces. Then there was the rebalancing to Promethean weapons. The Promethean weapons in Halo 4 were fine, but they always felt either overpowered or extremely underpowered, or they had redundant charged shots. For Halo 5, they fixed most of the problems. The bolt shot lost its charge shot and simply became a 3-burst pistol. Both the bolt shot and the suppressor now track targets, making them great for dealing with enemies that are running away. The light rifle is now just a Promethean version of the DMR, instead of being a weird hybrid gun that swapped between being a 3-burst to a single shot, depending on if you were zoomed in or not. Then we had the binary rifle. Instead of a single high-powered instant kill shot, it now fires a high-powered beam that, although isn't an instant kill, will drop you in just a couple of seconds. Next up is the incinerator cannon. It went from having ammo to having a battery charge, and its primary fire was changed to lob explosive grenades, while its charge shot fires its original rocket shot that we saw in Halo 4, which makes this gun way more interesting and versatile than the original. Then there is the scatter shot, which is the Promethean version of the shotgun, that was changed to have a slower firing rate, and its shots now come out in an X shape, and have a slight targeting correction to help with aim, and when they bounce off walls, they cause additional damage to enemies they hit. Otherwise, the scatter shot hasn't changed much. These were much needed changes to make the Promethean arsenal not only unique, but also more viable in gameplay. Back in Halo 4, the only Promethean guns you would want to use were the binary rifle, incinerator, or light rifle, if there wasn't anything better lying around. Now, with these changes, I was more willing to use Promethean weaponry instead of just being annoyed by their presence. Along with the addition of the Promethean turret, which fires explosive rounds to discourage grouping up, it really shows that 343 was listening to players' complaints about the Halo 4 weapons sandbox. So, what did I miss while gushing? Alright, so Osiris fights their way through the Covenant and Promethean forces to reach Halsey's location. Now, you're probably wondering, why are the Prometheans fighting the Covenant? Well, it seems that the Prometheans are taking orders from someone new, and have turned on the Covenant, leading to Jool becoming desperate because he got his legitimacy from having the Prometheans as allies, which the team comments on and just kinda makes fun of Jool as a character for it.
Must have dealt a blow to Imdama's authority when the Prometheans turned on him. Gained a lot of followers, styling himself as a Forerunner prophet.
Jool Imdama is an opportunist, not a leader. It was only a matter of time until his version of the Covenant started to break.
Well, it could stand to break a little faster if you ask me.
Foreshadowing is a literary device in...
After getting quite the set piece of having the new Covenant super vehicle, the Kraken, firing on our location, and then being driven off as we approach Halsey's location, Osiris reaches Halsey and takes out Jool and his honor guard. Now, I know people were upset that we didn't get to fight Jool, but Halo boss fights were always garbage and unsatisfying until Infinite, and Jool was never really a skilled warrior anyways. He was a radicalized teacher who Oni experimented on. He was never going to be this grand epic villain. He was taken out a little too fast in the story though, and I would have personally preferred if he was taken out later in the game. Returning to Infinity, Halsey is taken by the returning Commander Palmer and Captain Lasky to get work done and find out who or what is causing the colonies to disappear, which then takes us to the next mission, Blue Team. Here, many were introduced to the famous Blue Team, which is made up of the 3 surviving Spartan 2s from the books, Fred, Linda, and Kelly, who were John's best friends from the books and basically his only family. These characters were also introduced in Halo: The Fall of Reach and had major roles in the background of Halo 2 and 3, with the books like First Strike and Ghosts of Onyx explaining where they were during the events of those games. And here we see how Blue Team is handling Chief's return and recent behavior. It's clear that even a year later, Chief is still mourning the loss of Cortana. He's been running missions back-to-back to avoid properly dealing with said trauma. Fred tries to check in with Chief, but he shrugs it off, and we get the cutscene showing the difference between Spartan 2s and 4s, which I really appreciate, as it shows that the 4s are more wild and independent of one another, while Blue Team as 2s are more organized, in sync, and working best as a team. A difference I appreciate that shows the benefits and challenges of both 2s and 4s. Blue Team's mission is to take out an Oni research facility that went missing 2 years ago, and I'll give credit to 343. They did some really cool world building here. If you sit around, Blue Team will talk about Oni and the station, and there are audio logs you can find that explain how the station went missing. Turns out they were experimenting with a virus that they wanted to use to kill jackals, only for the virus to get out and kill all the humans on board. Oh, Oni, still committing the most horrific deeds you could imagine. The only reason the station went missing was because the AI on board the ship was keeping it away from inhabited space. The audio logs here show his story about how he felt alone and felt awful for what happened, and eventually he chose to die because he was going rampant. It's well written and makes you feel bad for the poor guy. Blue Team does have some differences in their gameplay, like having faster shield and health regen than their Osiris counterparts, due to them being Spartan 2s and having way more augmentation than Spartan 4s, though their individual buffs are the same as Osiris's. Chief does extra melee damage, Fred gets an extra grenade, Kelly has increased movement speed, and Linda gets the motion tracker while zoomed in, which is kind of depressing that their abilities are copy-pasted. I would have liked something different for each team member, but As we fight through the station, Chief and the team's rampage is eventually stopped by a hunter, damaging a bridge and dropping them into the depths of the ship. Chief is knocked out and sees a vision of Cortana, telling him to head to the planet Meridian, as the awakening has begun, and he sees a massive construct come out of the ground, which wakes Chief up to Blue Team. The rest of the mission is scuttling the station so the Covenant can't have whatever secrets or weapons are hiding inside it. Before leaving, Chief tells Infinity that he's going after Cortana, and when they tell him no, he just ignores them. Blue Team joins him, as they don't want Chief to face this alone, which is nice to see. Then we jump back to Infinity, where everyone is in a panic about Chief going after Cortana. The AI of Infinity, Roland, is asking the question that most of us are. Wait, Cortana's alive? And she's the reason bad things are happening in the background? With Roland being reasonably upset that Cortana is being thrown under the bus with no benefit of doubt, and the cutscene is just cut short. Why? Why did you cut the scene short here? Why is there no challenge to Roland's arguments or expression of why his concerns are valid? For those that don't know, Roland was introduced in Halo 4's Spartan Ops campaign as the new AI running Infinity. I personally think he was the best part of Spartan Ops, as he filled the role of comic relief. He was the smartest man in the room, knew it, and although he knew when to take things seriously and tone down the comedy when appropriate, he still had that snark and charm that made him unique. It's clear they wanted to do more with him, but for some reason, they never did. Which is a shame, because of all the characters 343 made, Roland is my favorite. So it's frustrating that they just cut off this conversation. It's not like Halo's unfamiliar with long cutscenes or conversations like this. Then we cut to Locke and Buck preparing to go after Blue Team. Locke reveals a rather cool device that they will use to immobilize Spartan armor, and it's explained why something like that should exist in the expanded material, as Spartans have gone rogue before. Though the problem with this scene is the dialogue. This is where it's clear they need to do another pass over the script, because it's clear that this was meant to be a conversation between Locke and Gabriel Thorne.
Every other Spartan, every soldier, when they hear about this, they're gonna hate us. You know that, right?
You're not the only one here because of him.
Soka.
It doesn't make sense for straight and narrow Buck to be questioning the order to capture Chief. Yeah, Buck was an ODST, who are infamous for being rebellious and hard-headed. However, Buck was always characterized as someone who followed orders, although he would give pushback if orders meant endangering his men. He also has a major hatred for those who turn against the UNSC. Halo New Blood goes into detail on that. And if you read that before watching this, you'd be left dumbfounded as to why Buck is having doubts about bringing Chief in. However, this does make sense if it was Gabriel Thorne.
Even Osiris. I mean, at one point, Spartan Locke was going to be Gabriel Thorne, right?
Yeah, at one point he was going to be Thorne. He was going to be Palmer. Eventually, we knew that he was going to be a new character. He was Agent Smith for us for a long time. All Matrix jokes aside, it was Smith that was our placeholder name. We knew we were going to change it. Then, as the team started taking shape, we just kind of realized we wanted Buck.
Thorne joined the Spartan Force because Chief inspired him, and everything that Buck says in this scene would make much more sense if it was Thorne instead. Locke's response to Buck only makes sense if it is Thorne, because Locke and Thorne are both Spartan 4s because of Chief. Buck didn't join the Spartan Force because of Chief. He joined because he wanted to honor the late rookie and keep what remained of Alpha 9 together. I bring these two problems up with the story because these are two major writing issues at the start of the game, which is a consistent problem of Halo 5's story that I will get into more later. The next set of missions takes us to the glassed planet, Meridian. Meridian is an interesting location for Halo, as we got to see the Covenant glassing planets before, and Halo Reach had us participate in the Battle of New Alexandria. But we have never gotten to play or experience a world post-glassing, much less a world whose inhabitants hate us. Though you wouldn't know that immediately, because the planet is under attack by Prometheans, and they won't turn down our help. But the leader of the planet, Sloan, made his disgust for our presence known. Fighting through Promethean forces, we saved several group of Meridian workers from Promethean assaults, placating Governor Sloan by praising the workers' bravery and asking him to let us help. And in the process, we learned that the people of Meridian have some pretty heavy-duty war gear, from rocket launchers to Gauss turrets to even a Scorpion tank.
Spartans, my people in the service garage could sure use your help. Well, they might just have a Scorpion in there.
They have a tank. Why do they have a tank? Gift horses, Vale.
Which makes sense for their background, that a corporation would arm its workforce in a galaxy where Covenant raids were frequent and UNSC support was extremely limited due to them being on a backwater frontier world. It's also good to listen to for world building, and having Osiris bounce off one another helps build their characters. After securing the main gate into the colony of Meridian Station, we get an interesting change of pace. A walkabout section. Walkabout sections are meant to give the player a break from the fast-paced action, letting us breathe and explore a location and learn about the planet we're on. Here, Osiris has ingratiated themselves to the people of Meridian Station and are allowed to investigate for any clues that will help Osiris locate where Blue Team might have gone. These sections are controversial.
Dude, check the news. It doesn't matter what channel.
You either liked these sections because they allowed you to learn more about the Halo universe, and thought they were a welcome addition to the Halo campaign to give you a break from jumping from action sequence to action sequence, or you saw them as a major pace breaker and a waste of time, and wanted to just get back to the main gameplay. I am on the side of enjoying these sections, but that's because I'm a major story nerd, and I live for this kind of shit. So I do understand why more casual fans, as well as the hardcore shooter fans, don't like these sections. Though this is only done 3 times in the game, once you're a Meridian, and twice later on. After finding out that Sloan is an AI who is going rampant, and listening to the people of Meridian and finding audio logs telling us what it's like living on a planet owned by a corporation and how fucked that is, Osiris learns that Blue Team's Pelican was last spotted heading towards one of the mines, so we head in that direction, accompanied by some Meridian workers. Of course, we have to fight our way into the mines, but Buck and Tanaka start putting the pieces together that Blue Team didn't have to fight the Prometheans to get down into the mines, or sweet-talk Sloan. Even more incriminating, we find a Forerunner structure in the mine, and the single biggest waste of a cool idea, the Warden Eternal.
Are you the Guardian?
I am Warden Eternal. I stand in service to Cortana.
Cortana?
The other humans are approved for passage. Regretfully, you are not.
That sounds like a threat.
Vacate his shelter now.
The Warden Eternal is the boss fight in Halo 5, and this guy is a cool idea on paper. A Forerunner AI who was assigned to watch over a place called the Domain. Basically, think of a souped-up Promethean knight. He can summon black holes and has a sniper attack and a sword to rush you and your team down. And he is going to outstay his welcome because he's the only boss, and he repeatedly comes back. So you are going to fight him a lot. He has a blatant weak spot on his backside that is easily exploited with some grenades. Though, before we put this copy-paste villain in his place, he said that he stood in service to Cortana. But we could put that on the back burner for now, because we found Chief! The fight between Chief and Locke is infamous. People were either disappointed with its lack of intensity, thought that it looked like 2 drunk guys were fighting, or were annoyed with the fact that Osiris watched Locke get his ass handed to him and didn't try to attack Chief 4v1. I agree with the last point. Having Osiris standing there doing nothing is really dumb. The simplest solution was to have them teleport in right when Locke loses the fight. However, I don't agree with the other complaints. 1, Chief doesn't want to kill Locke. He's a fellow soldier who's just doing his job. 2, Locke doesn't want to kill Chief, because he was ordered to take him alive, and you usually want to punish AWOL soldiers, not kill them. 3, with those 2 things in your mind, why the hell do you think it would be some anime-level fight? Even the books don't go that extreme. So I have zero clue what y'all were expecting from this fight. Either way, Locke gets immobilized and Chief gets away, with him and Blue Team going into the titular Guardian, and the giant monstrosity begins to wake up and rise out of the chamber. Team Osiris runs for a teleporter and is brought back to the surface, where we grab some hogs and book it towards the space elevator to get off-world. Everyone is trying to evacuate, with the Guardian rising up to the ground of the distance. When we do get to the elevator, Vale calls out Sloan for his 2-sided behavior, and he reveals that, yeah, he knew about the Guardian. Cortana had contacted him, threatening that a change was coming, and that he was going to be a part of it before leaving. This leads us to trying to use the elevator to get off Meridian, but it turns out that the Guardian has some sort of EMP effect, and disabled the elevator. So instead, we have to climb the elevator manually in a timed section, which is a fun set piece. Having to climb the elevator while Prometheans are attacking us is a fun vertical level. When we get to the top, we quickly get in our Pelican and fly off, and the Guardians teleport away, which doesn't do what Regret Ship did in Halo 2, which is extremely disappointing. Getting back to Infinity, Halsey reveals that there is another Guardian on the Elite's homeworld, Sanghelios. However, due to the events of the Kilo 5 trilogy, the Elites are currently in a civil war, because the idea of split lips living happy lives gives Oni an aneurysm, which means that, officially, the UNSC doesn't want to get involved in the Arbiter's civil war. But Roland, being the best boy in the room, not only pulled the coordinates to where Chief's Guardian went, but also came up with a plan to get us the Guardian on Sanghelios. Lasky agrees to the plan and goes to square it away with Command. So what's Chief up to? Whee!
I'm down.
And that's why, chat, you don't always do that. Chief and Blue Team ended up on a Forerunner planet called Genesis. We see Guardians showing up one by one. The mission of Genesis is that these weird consoles light up with a callback to Ollie Ollie Oxenfree, a signal that the Spartan 2s used back in the day. While I do the obviously stupid thing in the background, let's talk about the movement mechanics here for a moment, because the longer I can put off talking about this plot, the more brainpower I'll have to crash the fuck out later. Halo Reach added in the controversial sprint equipment, and Halo 4 just cut the shit and added it as a natural part of your movement. The casuals loved how Halo 4 made it, but the hardcore fans hated it as it felt weird and unnatural to them. As well, some had decent arguments that having a sprint button kinda makes vehicles less needed, cause why drive something like a mongoose if you can just run? However, to 343's credit, they stuck to their guns and improved the movement in Halo 5, and I would argue this is the best movement in a Halo game, bar none. Halo 5 introduced thrusters to the gameplay, not only giving you short bursts of speed to quickly dodge or get to cover, but you can also bash into people while running, break some walls, or cross gaps you normally couldn't just by sprint jumping. As well, if you aim down your weapon sights while jumping, you can hover for a short time. Sure, you're vulnerable in the air for a couple of seconds, but if you can get the drop on someone or take out a turret operator before falling behind cover, it's a free kill. Then there is the ground pound, a genuinely amazing idea. You jump in the air, charge it up for a few seconds, and any enemy group that's stacked up learns why that was a stupid idea. You come crashing down to Earth, doing massive AoE damage, and your team can pick off anyone that survived. Great for the campaign, even better for multiplayer. This is where my praise ends, though, because now we get back to the story and are met with Warden Eternal again. An eternal pain in my ass!
Is there a third option?
No.
Warden basically tells Chief that I'm Cortana's special boy now, and much like Woody, she doesn't want to play with you anymore. Bullshit. Basically telling John and Blue Team that she isn't going to come home with us, nor are we going to sway her off her chosen path, and we're stupid for thinking that we could, leading to another piss-easy boss fight with him, though he is backed up by knights and warriors to try and make it an actual challenge. And we finally get to talk to Cortana.
Chief, hello?
Cortana.
John, you made it. Oh my... I can't believe you're here.
So, I will crash out about this when we get to Blue Team's final level, because Precursors Almighty, that is going to be a rant. Cortana reveals that she survived the destruction of the Didact ship because the ship tried to make an emergency jump before it got nuked, leading her to winding up here on Genesis and being miraculously cured of her rampancy. She basically had a revelation that since she is effectively immortal now due to the properties of Genesis and the domain healing her, she can plan for the long term, and that the Forerunner mantle of responsibility should definitely fall to her and the other AI, going on about how she will bring galactic peace, a utopia, one could say. However, if you read the books, and clearly Chief here has, you'd know that the Mantle of Responsibility is a forced piece. Step out of line, get genocided, basically. Cortana says it won't be like that, of course, and then tries to do the thing that weird parasocial Twitch chatters try to do. Bribe us with cool shit. The last part of this mission is driving the Forerunner Phaeton gunships. They have a standard autocannon, missiles, and a fun little boost that you can use to dodge incoming attacks. This section and mission ends with us heading to the massive building we've been trying to turn on since we got here. And Blue Team is pretty sure that Cortana has lost her goddamn mind at this point. What tipped you off? The fact that she had a mental breakdown at the end of Halo 4, and that clearly did something to her way of thinking? And now we get to jump back to the actually interesting parts of Halo 5, heading down to Sanghelios and reuniting with Arbiter, played once again by the ever-lovely and amazing Keith David.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Though, the first mission on Sanghelios is to rescue Arbiter from a Covenant siege. Of course, we need his help to reach the Guardian on Sanghelios, as its location is underneath the last fortified stronghold of the Covenant, Sinion, which you can see out in the distance over there. Sanghelios is cool. We get to explore ancient elite temples, burial grounds, and architecture. I wish we could have seen more than just craggy rock areas, but beggars can't be choosers. This mission involves a lot of vertical elements to it, which I actually appreciate, and Vale just being the best character here, as she is a total geek like I am, and just goes off about the areas you're in if you let her. As well, most audio logs here are about the Elite Civil War, and just how badly it's going for both sides. Mostly because Oni has been actively sabotaging them, wanting to keep the Elites weakened to lessen the threat to humanity. Fighting our way to the temple grounds where Arbiter is making his last stand, we get ourselves the lovely Mantis Assault Walker, and use it to push back the Covenant assault with the help of some sort of Sanghelios reinforcements. Getting a chuckle as Buck reflects my feelings when more enemy drop pods show up, we manage to save and extract Arbiter and his surviving forces from the Covenant assault, leading into our second walkabout section. The second and third walkabouts have us go through an elite staging area, where we can listen in on elites talking about the war, trying to fix their damaged vehicles, and listening to grunts being grunts. I didn't mention this before, but back in Halo Reach and 4, they made the grunts speak in their native tongue, which sucked, because outside of Marine banter, the next funniest thing was the grunts. But we get grunts and everyone else now talking in insert language here, and writing for them has remained consistently funny. You can actually find audio logs here from a grunt who is trying to be a scientist and believes that Halsey is an insect monster who's going into her cocoon soon. I love him.
Human Science Report, Log 42. Prolonged observation of the Dr. Halsey supports theories from New Alexandria that human females signal maturity by losing appendages. If my hypothesis be correct, soon the Dr. Halsey will release her spores and spin a cocoon of rich meat silk. Truly, this is a very exciting time to be making science!
Here we get our mission from Dr. Halsey. Go get a Forerunner repair drone so that we can activate a Guardian, which also coincides with Arbiter's plan to take on the Kraken, as he wants to take it out to ensure total victory over Sinion, which the Covenant Kraken would infinitely make harder. So we deploy to the next mission with those two key objectives. We go through more elite burial grounds and temples with ghosts, and eventually grab some Phaetons to fight the Kraken. Which is cool, because it feels like the new Mombasa mission from Halo 2, where we chase the Scarab down, get on board it, and blow it up, which we do, and successfully grab the repair drone from the Forerunner site. After the last walkabout section in the game, which is basically just getting ready for the assault on Sinion, and is where we get some final conversations from Osiris about recent events, and some conversations about the upcoming assault, and we can find a poem about Elite having a crush on Palmer. You can let your mind wander about that on your own time. The repair drone heads off to Sinion, and our forces head out, with Halsey making sure to warn Locke about Cortana's growing power, and that since Cortana is a copy of her own mind, she's basically become a version of Halsey without restraint, and will do anything that she deems necessary to protect John. Though before we leave, she does beg us to bring Jong home, which is annoying because this is where I need to complain. Halo 5's story has us jump between Osiris and Blue Team, but we only play as Blue Team 3 times total. Every other mission is focused on Osiris, and this is where I think the story should have just focused on Osiris chasing after Blue Team, and have Halsey help us track them down. The reason I say this is because Halo 5's story should have played up the mystery of why Chief and Blue Team went AWOL, which would let us play into Osiris hunting down Blue Team and give Halsey, the person responsible for the Spartan 2's and Cortana's creation, have some actual fucking screen time, and let the players see how Osiris solves a mystery together, and build a relationship with Halsey so her request of Locke doesn't come right the hell out of nowhere. Or go on the opposite end. Focus the game entirely on Blue Team trying to find Cortana. It would give newcomers time to get to know Fred, Kelly, and Linda, put more emphasis on Chief's grief about losing Cortana, and actually build up to the inevitable betrayal that we are getting to. Osiris could still be included by being an occasional boss fight, since Blue Team went AWOL to do this, because all the story elements to make this work are here. Locations to both fight and investigate in, and scenes to reunite with legacy characters and either build on Osiris becoming a true team and learn more about Halsey, or build on Blue Team and give newcomers a reason to go read the books and show John having to reconcile with standing against his former partner. But this is the broken story we got, and if you spent time just letting Osiris talk and explore, it makes the cutscene before the assault of Sanion hit a lot closer to home. They have a nice few words before the attack begins, and it does feel like they are becoming a true team. The Battle of Sanion is what I consider to be the last truly good level of Halo 5, fighting through a Covenant holy city that was built to be both a place of worship to the Guardian and also to protect it. So we get to explore the top side and the underground parts of the city while securing landing zones for Arbiter's troops. This is what I wanted more from Sanghelios. Yeah, sure, temples and gravesites are cool, but I want to explore more places like elite versions of cities. Hell, Arbiter's family basically lives in a fortress. I wanted to see what Arbiter's home was like, the training grounds he learned in, let my friends who love him smell his seat, you know? Just get a little bit more ambience, since this is the elite homeworld, and they're one of the most beloved alien groups in gaming. But we mostly just get rocks, temples, and a Covenant city, which is the highlight for sure, but that's mostly because now I'm looking at colors that aren't mostly orange and brown. As we fight our way through the Undercity, the Guardian begins to wake up, which leads us to reunite with Arbiter as we push to the spot where we need to go board the Guardian, only for Warden eternally haunting me to come out and try to delay us. We quickly body his ass, and with the help of Palmer, who is clearly trying to give Halsey a heart attack with her driving, Osiris manages to board the Guardian and get to Genesis. And it's all down fucking hill from here! Arriving on Genesis gives us two cool things I'm going to talk about before I tear my hair out about the other stuff. We get a unique section of fighting while running down the body of a Guardian, and the new monitor, Exuberant Witness, who is Best Girl, and you will fucking acknowledge it.
Oh my, I never was in combat before. This is rather distressing and exciting.
The Guardian fight is pretty cool. Just stay in the middle as best you can and try to reach the bottom to safely jump off, while fighting Prometheans on the way down. Exuberant Witness is our new companion and guide, and she is just a treat. She gifts me a fucking tank, and boys, find yourself a girl who will gift you a fucking tank! The whole level is basically learning what the hell Cortana is doing, trying to get into contact with Chief, fighting Covenant forces who got dragged onto Genesis with other Guardians teleporting in, and fighting off more Prometheans and Warden eternally pissing me off, while having colorful commentary from Exuberant to make these fights even more enjoyable, minus the fuckhead simp over there. Eventually, Osiris does manage to reach Blue Team, but before we can do anything, Cortana teleports Blue Team away, leading into Blue Team's final mission. The Breaking is the mission where I think the game would hit much harder if it had focused entirely on Blue Team. The entire mission is Blue Team fighting their way through Prometheans and internal fuckstick, while Cortana is trying to sweet-talk us into joining her. Which, fuck! The performance by Blue Team, Cortana, and Steve Daddy Downs is amazing! Just hearing Chief's voice crack over the fact that Cortana is doing this and actively killing millions while knowing the exact body count. Fucking chills!
It's so good to see you again, John. So good to see all of you. Back together. As a family.
Psychological tactics. Saying my name. Playing nice.
What would you have me do?
Tell me the truth. How many people died when you called the Guardians here?
Excuse me?
You know, don't you? The exact body count.
And if the game had focused entirely on the search for Cortana and letting us see this devastation, it would make it hit so much harder. I also like that throughout this section, Blue Team is clearly trying to protect Chief, with Linda being the one to call out Cortana's bullshit, while Kelly tried to be way softer about it, and Fred was the bridge and voice of reason to try and get John to admit out loud that Cortana has clearly gone off the fucking deep end. Internal Simp also chimes in and does the same for Cortana, to get her to see that Chief isn't gonna side with her. The breaking mission gameplay itself is kinda boring. It's a straight line of arenas where you fight waves of Prometheans and eventually 3 Warden Eternals, which is where he actually was a threat, but only because 3 of him running around and launching black holes at you can be a fucking nightmare. After handing Warden Eternal his shit for the millionth time, we finally managed to reach Cortana, and although he tries to kill Blue Team one more time, Cortana shows that she could have reined him in at any time. Though sadly, the reunion between Chief and Cortana is short-lived, as no matter what, she is hell-bent on creating a galaxy that doesn't need someone like Chief or the Spartans anymore, and she's gonna do that by locking Chief in the same kind of cryptum that Didact from Halo 4 was in, and leave him and Blue Team in there for about 10,000 years, give or take. So, Cortana going evil. This has been seen, by the wider community at least, as something ranging from the dumbest writing decision 343 could make to being completely nonsensical. And if Halo 5 was in a vacuum, I'd agree. It makes no sense that Cortana would just suddenly go evil, betray Chief after seemingly dying for him, and shift her personality to put the dick in dictatorship. However, Halo 5 does not exist in a vacuum, and it was never meant to. So let's start from the beginning here. Cortana going evil wasn't an original idea from 343. Turns out it was a leftover idea that Bungie had, and wanted to do all the way back in Halo CE. Basically, the idea was that when you plug Cortana into the ring, the information overload would drive her crazy, and she would try to use Halo to take over the galaxy. It was also a pretty big part of the marketing back in the day, with Cortana's letters.
I have walked the edge of the abyss. I have governed the unwilling. I have witnessed countless empires break before me. I have seen the most courageous soldiers fall away in fear. I was there with the angel at the tomb. I have seen your future, and I have learned. There will be no more sadness, no more anger, no more envy. I have won. Oh, and your poet, Eliot, had it all wrong. This is the way the world ends. A friend of a friend.
At that point, we certainly didn't know about Blue Team. Osiris was but a gleam in her eye. But yeah, like the big beats of Cortana survives this thing, that happens. Then before Cortana comes back, Cortana has this new plan that nobody gets and isn't quite sure they agree with. That was all there.
Bungie was well known for their Marathon series, whose main antagonists were usually rampant AI, and since Halo was originally going to be part of the Marathon universe, it makes sense that they would go that route with her character. It just never worked out in the gameplay or story. Then we cut to the story in Halo Evolution's Human Weakness, which is set between Halo 2 and 3, and explains what happened during the few months we left Cortana on High Charity. She was basically tortured, and it's heavily hinted that she had been infected with something called the Logic Plague, which is basically a paradox created by the Flood for smart AI that makes them turn on their creators. It's what happened with the Forerunner AI, Mendicant Bias, and basically just sets us up for the Flood's return. Then Halo 4 happened, and Cortana was seemingly dead for 3 years. Except she wasn't dead, and the creators retconned the Didact ship into not being entirely destroyed by the nuke. In the anthology comic Tales from Slipspace, we got the story of how Cortana survived, how she convinced the Warden Eternal to join her, and how she took over the domain in Genesis. She just hacked it. Yeah, she just distracts Warden with the conversation, hacks his brain and the domain, which is a massive interconnected system of the Forerunner shit, and just decides, yeah, I'd like my turn at galactic conquest. Oh, and this comic came out a year after Halo 5. Now, a couple of problems. First, you had it. You fucking had it. It was all already set up for you. Cortana became disillusioned with humanity, wanted to protect John, and the corruption from the Flood and the overload from the Halo rings were too much. You got the shelf from IKEA, you got the instructions, everything was there for you to make this work, and you built a couch out of it. It was right fucking there, and you decided to not go for that? And didn't even bother to use those as excuses for her heel turn. 2. How the hell did she just hack everything? It's clear, at least in the previous Halo games, that even when she was fully capable of doing stuff, if a Forerunner monitor didn't want her poking around or messing with stuff, they just shut her out. But now a clearly unstable and rampant Cortana can not only hack a sophisticated Forerunner AI and make him the biggest simp I've ever seen, but also take control of the domain? The thing all Forerunner AI are connected to, allegedly? That is a massive-ass leap in narrative logic. 3. The biggest issue with this is that 343 did a very dumb thing and wrote fucking backwards. As revealed on the Halo YouTube channel in a video called The Sprint, 343's writers and franchise development director Frank O'Connor had worked backwards. Basically, they knew the ending of Halo 5 before they even started working on 4.
I think they knew how Halo 5 ended before we knew how Halo 4 ended. I remember discussing at the end of the game really early on.
Repeatedly throughout, we were talking to each other about how, Cortana's not evil. Cortana's doing a thing we don't agree with, and she has the power to make it happen.
She might be right away, but the tension that people have always had, and the cultures have always had is, it is not up to you to enforce that vision on me. You have to give the freedom to do it myself. We were talking about this grand thesis of storytelling, but there's all these little bits of storytelling going to the universe that are, bluntly speaking, tedious to do. One of these many ways you say I threw a grenade that doesn't sound wonky, as you all know.
Now, I know that writing is not a simple task, but usually you do not start in the middle or at the end and work your way back. It's okay to know where you want to start and end, but you gotta know how you get there. We turned Cortana evil. What now? We don't know. We didn't get that far, screams the writers. Cortana was always going to become an antagonist. That is completely fine. I mean, before I started researching this, I didn't think this was the original Cortana. I thought this was one of her rampant personalities that survived and got restored to full power somehow. That would have given them a pretty easy out for the story. But nope, this was the decision that they made. No build-up, no time to process Cortana going insane, or give any time for anyone to push back against her. There was even cut content of that exact thing with Roland, because Cortana and Roland are both named after swords. the Sword of Cortana, and the Sword of Roland. You know, the Song of Durlindal? It all goes back to Bungie's marathon, god damn it! Okay, I cooled off a bit. Look, this all could have worked. We had all the pieces here to make this story work. But it's a mess. We didn't get time to build up Cortana being evil. There was tons of outside material needed to even get that revelation, with nothing inside the game to help with it. And it totally ruins Halo 4's ending, which is considered by many, including myself, to be the best story of any Halo game. All for a plot point that 343 would abandon after this game. Hell, I brought up Roland because there was cut content of Roland having a conversation with Cortana, which was basically a clash of their two ideologies. Either force humanity into a path of peace, or help them find a better way, which has always been in the background of Halo's storytelling, even under Bungie, going as far back with Halo 2 and its ARGs. But nope, we got a plot and a campaign that, although it's fun to play through and gives interesting insight into the Halo universe, is a complete mess of a narrative. Doesn't give anyone here time to breathe, poorly explains itself, and expects the player to have the context of several books, web series, and even an Xbox exclusive audio drama series that didn't really matter to the plot anyway. Fucking hell. This leads us to the last mission of Halo 5, Guardians. We take control of Osiris again, and even though we can't really stop Cortana from unleashing the Guardians, we can at least save Chief and Blue Team. With a little help from the best monitor in the game, Exuberant Witness. As we enter the final areas we fight in, which are mostly just arenas with Covenant and Promethean forces fighting both us and each other, Cortana reaches out to the AI of the universe, asking who will join her. As we are fighting, we hear tons of AI chiming in from across the galaxy to side with her. We destroy some generators to give Exuberant access to her systems again, which Cortana and Warren shut her at originally. Then Cortana starts taking pot shots at Osiris, which would mean a lot more if we had focused more time on Osiris.
Edward Buck, you're an odd one. So much more experienced than the others, and yet you play second fiddle to children. Why is that?
Is she calling me old?
This culminates in a final sprint to destroy a core that will allow Exuberant to retake control of Genesis. We succeed, and the best floating ball manages to swipe Blue Team's Cryptum away from Cortana's Guardian before she jumps out. Chief and Blue Team are freed from the Cryptum, though Locke reveals to Chief that sadly, Cortana got away. The scene jumps to Earth, where Infinity and the UNSC are receiving distress calls from everywhere, saying that Cortana's Guardians and her AI allies have started taking over everything. And Cortana's Guardian pops up over Earth and charges an EMP. Lasky orders Infinity to make an emergency jump and escapes before the EMP fires. Which, great work, Cortana! You just killed a whole lot of people! Halo 5 comes to a close with Lasky telling Roland that they will find a way to fight back, and the two Spartan teams getting back to Sanghelios to reunite with Arbiter, Palmer, and Halsey, with the end credits revealing that Cortana has now taken control over what we assumed was Zeta Halo. Holy fuck, this plot was dumb. Okay, so what happened after Halo 5? Well, in real life, Halo 5 did pretty well when it came to sales, selling 5 million in the first week alone, along with its gameplay and Warzone mode being praised and major outlets giving the game incredible reviews. Remember that these sites look at the gameplay as well as the story, and also look at games from a casual experience point of view. Though the story was widely criticized, and the backlash 343 got was not good. Look, I agree the story wasn't great and should have been rewritten and refocused, but tons of 343 writers got death threats and other not so great things sent to them, which, guys, it's a fucking video game. It's not like 343 shot your dog in front of you or anything. From a story perspective, Halo 5 had the immediate sequels of Halo Bad Blood, which was set immediately after the events of Halo 5, where Buck goes out to rebuild Alpha 9, and Shadows of Reach, which had Blue Team return to the titular planet Reach to recover something they could use to defeat Cortana, along with several short stories explaining where characters like Lord Hood and some others ended up. After Halo 5, we also got the well-loved and welcomed Halo Wars 2 and Halo Infinite, a game whose development cycle could be best described as a team deathmatch with Microsoft pouring every kind of chemical on it to make it burn harder. To say 343 got cold feet over the state they put Halo in was an understatement. Personally, I think they should have stuck to their guns on this one. Halo 5 is the best example of gameplay that these people can do if they stick to their guns and play it out. I mean, like, aside from the loot boxes and the story, they did clearly listen to the genuine complaints about Halo 4, and for a time, Halo 5 did revive the competitive scene, and its online play was genuinely a good time. Warzone was a genuine blast. Yeah, sure, the loot boxes were garbage, but if you make the Eternal Simp here actually fun to fight with 7 other players, then you did something fucking right. They also introduced the Grunt Goblin. The Grunt Goblin. It's a Grunt Gundam, and I love it. These Grunts Goblin D's nuts! Now, would I recommend you going out of your way to get this? Well, no. Halo 5 to date has not been re-released on any platforms other than Xbox. Apparently the custom games were put on PC, but you gotta go through Microsoft's bullshit store for that. And with Microsoft currently abandoning Xbox and forcing AI-generated bullshit into everything, I don't want you or myself giving the cult leader CEO another fucking dime. Is Halo 5 as bad as everyone makes it out to be? No. It has problems, but I wouldn't claim it killed Halo. Its plot, the cutting of split-screen co-op, and the loot boxes were the only real problems with it at the end of the day. But right now, I don't want to see it re-released on PC with generative AI bullshit mandates. It would only turn a fun game into a bullshit one. Now, why did I come back to this game? Warthog Kun aside, I saw the new Halo CE remake, and it's pushing generative AI, which just takes away the unique identity of Halo. Say what you want about 343 or Bungie styles. I'll say it myself that I didn't like the art direction overall from 343, but it was still unique and their own. Now, Halo just looks bland and uninspired. I can't even tell if they brought Steve Downes or Jen Taylor back to play Chief and Cortana. That's just how bad the line reading was in the trailer. And after their performances in Halo 5 and Infinite, I refuse to believe they would give those phoned-in performances that we witnessed in the new remake's trailer. The reason I wanted to do the Halo retrospective was to find out when or where Halo started going downhill. Was it all 343 and Microsoft, or did Bungie have something to do with it? In the end, all I found was the same kind of story for any long-running franchise. Management wanted their golden goose to keep laying eggs, even after brutally kicking it in the stomach multiple times, along with previous creators of the series leaving and burning every bridge they could in the process, leaving the new team to take the blame so that even small mistakes were chided so badly that many from the team left, either because of the bullshit that Microsoft was putting them through, or the burnout from dealing with fan backlash. I also just miss games from the past. I had so much fun with Halo 5. Sure, the story was bad, but I'll happily take a poorly paced and explained story over the modern AI-generated shit being handed to us. At least they fucking tried with Halo 5. They did their best to learn from their mistakes, and though they clearly made more mistakes in some areas, they not only fixed previous mistakes, but actually made some really fun mechanics and improved on others. That kind of stuff should be celebrated. I am a firm believer of criticizing the bad and praising the good. If 343 stuck to their guns and Microsoft hadn't laid off half the fucking team and told the survivors to work on Infinite with no leadership, I think it would have worked out in the end. But that's just a dream. And we got stuck with a cult leader who was trying to push generative AI bullshit on us because he and the rest of the tech industry got scammed by an incredible incel. If you take anything away from this video, it should be this. Just play the games you enjoy. You are allowed to like things, even if they aren't liked by the majority of people. There was a lot of talent and passion put into Halo 5. And now more than ever, we are seeing people go back to older consoles and older games from the 2000s and 2010s to just escape the battle royales and generated bullshit. Which, if anything, that should be a sign that the gaming industry needs to pull back and re-examine itself. Basically, I am fine waiting another 5 to 7 years for a new game with actual talent working on it that doesn't have to be photorealistic. Thank you all for watching. This is the last video for 2025, and it was genuinely a fun time working on this video and playing Halo 5 again. And getting to share this with you has been a treat as well. Even if you don't agree, I'm glad you gave me the time of day to talk about this. And to those who subscribed and joined the Patreon, thank you. I literally couldn't do this without you. We will be back in 2026 with the next set of videos decided by all of you on Patreon. There'll be some more need-to-knows and maybe some more reviews. Hopefully we'll reach 15K sometime next year, and even further beyond that. I also want to thank my friends LostinSpirals, ViaraVT, KaiPamba, Comingsoonentertainment, Afro Squirrel, Mitsuki Wizard, and other friends and mods for not only being helpful in my videos, but also being amazing friends. Happy holidays, everyone, and I'll see you all in the new year. Fuck 2025!